Wouldn't it be really cool if you get somebody else to do your work? All right, well, maybe that's a little sneaky, but let's talk about delegation. Whenever I talk to senior leaders, they always say, my people just need to delegate. Well, what the hell is that? Is there a right way and a wrong way to do it? Well, clearly, if we're sitting together with delegation as a topic, there's a right way to do it. And over the next few minutes, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So, why delegate, right? Again, we throw it out there conceptually like, oh, it's a great idea. But there's reasons we do and reasons we don't. There's a bunch of really good reasons to delegate. One is to help other people grow, right? The other one, oh my God, there's a whole bunch of them, but to free you up to go do other things, right? To cross-train people, to develop other people within the group, whether from a supervisory perspective or a technical perspective. Oh my God, just to get things done, right? To kind of spread load everything. It helps people feel like they're part of something. So there's so many good reasons to delegate. And conceptually, everyone says, oh, that's a great idea. But do we do it enough? And how could we do it better? Because there's also the dark side, right? The dark side is, well, I don't want to delegate because, it'll just take too long for me to explain it. Or they'll screw it up. Two legitimate reasons, by the way. I mean, those are fact, absolutely. And I guess there's also the one of, I don't have anyone to delegate to, but let's assume you got a crew and there's team and people and all that. But yeah, it will take time to explain. And yes, they will screw it up the first time. And no, they may not do it your way. But my question is, are you delegating the method or the result? Now, in some cases, and it wouldn't be delegation at all, we're specifying a method. Do this, do this, do this. Do not deviate. Do not do anything different. Right? And those are in very high risk scenarios. Maybe we're doing a blast, or maybe we're working near an unstable ledge, or electrical is involved, right? I'm not delegating, I'm telling you do this, this, and this. But generally, we delegate a task, and we delegate the outcome, right? So, hey, I need you to get there by the end of the day. Have at it. Now, whether I go left or go right, as long as I'm there by the end of the day. So we generally want to delegate the result. But what happens is in our mind, once we've delegated it, we think people are going to do it our way. And then they don't do it our way, and then we're diving in, jumping in. It's get out of my way, I'll do it myself. And that has just become you're doing the work, right? So, and then there's fear. Right? I don't want to delegate this because they're going to learn, they're going to get better, these people that I'm delegating to, and then I'll be expendable. They may do it better than I do. And that's fear kicking in. But something, if they're doing it well, maybe we can create new crews. Right? If you're still good at what you do, you're good at what you do, but we can create greater capacity in the organization. So there's reasons we do, there's reasons we don't. Now, if we don't delegate at all, and if we do it poorly, I guarantee you as a leader are going to get burnt out. Your plate is full. There's just too much for you to get done. When you leave, no one's going to be able to step up. Now, you may not care if you win the lottery, but what if you move to another crew or another job site, and this job site that you were running doesn't really have a qualified leader, but somebody has to step up, and we pick somebody, and now they have a tremendous loss on the job, like an error that costs a lot of money. Well, that comes out of the shared pool of the bottom line. So although you're working on this job over here now, the error that happened on this job, maybe you get partial credit for that one. Once again, if we don't do this, if we delegate poorly, people don't grow. And growth, let's face it, I come to work to make a contribution, to accomplish things, to achieve things, to be different, a day, a week, a month, a year from now than I was today, right? So if people aren't growing, they're stale, they're stagnant, and they're probably going to leave, right? So this whole delegation concept, there's a lot of goodness in it. So there's a simple little mnemonic here for you as it relates to delegation. It's called IDEALS, IDEALS. So we introduce the task, we demonstrate it, we ensure that people get it, we allocate authority and turn them loose, and then we turn them loose and let go, and then we support them along the way. We'll chat about each one of these just to make sure you're getting it right. But even before we go into this step further, we're going to talk about, well, who am I going to, there's certain things you can delegate and certain things you can't, right? So you can delegate routine tasks. You can delegate tasks that you did prior to assuming your new role. Now, this is a very interesting thing. That when you get promoted, there's a tendency to continue to do many of the tasks that you did at the lower level. So, but you're not getting paid to do that job anymore, right? You're getting paid to do this job. So this holding on to other tasks, well, you're not getting paid for it, first of all, right? Because that other person's getting paid for it, but it's comfortable, right? And as we move into a new position, which is uncomfortable, we retain things from that old position which are comfortable. There may be things that your people are better at. Let them go do it, right? If there's anything associated with social media these days, I'm not doing it. I'm delegating that to people, very young people, because that's what they do. Routine activities, for example, a safety walk through a job site. I have to go through with the checklist every day and do a safety walk. Well, maybe I can delegate that. So A, it's freeing me up. B, somebody's learning. And C, we're getting the job done, right? So there's a couple of things to think about from this perspective of what can I and what can I not delegate. Now, here's the things. You can't delegate everything, okay? You cannot delegate supervision, right? You are in charge. If you need to supervise, you need to supervise. You cannot delegate long-term planning. The people who you would be delegating to don't have the knowledge, experience, and information to engage in that. In some cases, there are tasks that only you can do. Now, that might relate to a safety thing, or a certification thing, or a privacy thing, getting into the payroll system, for example. We don't want to be turning that over to the guy who's been with us for 5 days or something like that. And you can't delegate terminating people. It always kind of freaks me out, and I kind of hate it when I hear a superintendent say, yeah, we had to call HR to fire that person. Well, you mean to call HR to be a witness, but you own that decision, and you own that person. All right, so now we've talked about what you can or should delegate and what you don't and really shouldn't delegate. So now we think about, all right, well, I can delegate this task. Who can do it? So I look at my team and I say, well, what are the strengths and weaknesses of my team? I may choose somebody who is strong in this area because I want to get it done, but maybe I'll choose somebody who's weak in this area so that they can learn how to do it. Also got to determine their level of interest in the thing, right? I mean, if I have no interest in what you're talking about, maybe it's just harassment that you're delegating to me and you're just dumping on me. But maybe that's a conversation you need to have that says, hey, you need to be interested in this because this is something you're going to have to learn. This is something you're going to have to get better at to get to that next level. So once again, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities for the individual, opportunities for the organization. So we've decided the what, we've decided the who. This simple technique is called a what-why statement. As soon as I said it, you knew what it was, right? I want you to do what, ... because you will, ... right? I want you to do the walk around on the safety checklist because this is something you're going to have to do when you become a foreman. The why matters a lot. It matters more today than it ever mattered. We talk about millennials, they're also Generation Y. Well, that's because they came after Generation X. Then we have Generation Z. Well, the Y is not just the letter Y, it's WHY. That entire generation was raised to ask why. All generations these days have Google. They're used to asking why. In other words, they're used to having access to information. So when you say to me, hey, Wally, I need you to go do something, I'm kind of curious about why you need me to go do it. By the way, the answer could be because it needs to get done. That's probably not one we're going to play, because I said so. Yeah, okay, Wally, pick up the shovel and start digging. But when we start delegating tasks, because when you say, Wally, pick up the shovel and start digging, well, that's my job. But when you start delegating tasks to me that maybe they're yours or maybe there's somebody else's on the crew, the what, why statement is one of your keys to success. And again, I want you to do blank because you will blank. It's that simple. Write it down before you go do it. Just practice it, use the words, rehearse that before you go do it, right? But this what, why statement is one of the keys to getting somebody to go, oh, I get it. There's something in it for me. There's something in it for the organization. What, why? Give it a try. So that's the I of introduce the task. The next one is demonstrate the task clearly. Just because I have seen you do this 3 times doesn't mean that I can get her done. Just because I've seen you do the task 37 times doesn't mean I have clarity on what it takes to get her done. So, and you get into a conversation of, do you understand what I'm asking for? Maybe I need to tell you how I'm going to do it. Maybe I need to show you how it gets done before I turn it over to you. So this demonstrate clearly is a conversation, and that ties right into ensuring understanding. Hey, just so I make sure I said it correctly, now tell me what you're going to go do. Notice how I said that. So I delegate the task to you, and do you got it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, now tell me what you're going to go do. ... parentheses, dumbass. As opposed to keep the burden on yourself. Hey, just so that I make sure I said it correctly, tell me what you're going to go do. On the one scenario, that second one, it's I'm taking the burden as the leader to help the person understand that I'm just curious if I explained it correctly. On the other one, I go, all right, now tell me what you're going to go do, dumbass. It suggests that I don't trust you in the first place. I think you're going to screw it up and bad things are going to happen. So there's so much, it's all in the delivery, right? And we're not going to spend any time talking about communication in this module, but it's all in the delivery. So the way you deliver this now, so not only the what, why, but think about how it's being delivered, your voice, your tone of voice, your inflection, those critical elements of vocal communication. And when you're when you're on a job site and there's noise and there's sense of urgency, sometimes it doesn't come across the way you really want it to come across. You really will want to think about that when we're doing the delegation thing. So we introduce the task, we demonstrate it to make sure that they've got it or confirm that they've got it, then we ensure the understanding, and then we allocate authority, information, and resources. So this is one of the places where we screw it up. So let's say I delegate that you need to go to the shop and pick up something, right? So you drive up to the shop, you show up and you say, hey, Wally said I need to come pick up the fill in the blank. The shop manager says, I don't know what you're talking about. You don't have authority to pick that up. I am only authorized to hand that to superintendents. I can't give it to you. God, I'm humiliated as the employee when I go through that. So we often forget the authority people need or the information other people need to know that that authority has been delegated. So now when I send you to the shop, I call the shop manager and go, hey, just want to let you know I'm sending so-and-so to pick up whatever. I know normally it's a superintendent level pickup thing, but okay, hey, no problem. Right? So that's the thought process there on allocating authority, information, and resources. The other thing is you don't realize how much information you have. You don't realize how much knowledge you have. So sometimes you have to allocate and give people either access to information or more information than they would normally have. And then let it go, right? Just turn them loose and enjoy the show, or correct if necessary. Don't jump in at the first signs of struggle. Step back, let them work. One of the reasons we do this delegation is so that people will learn. This concept of constrained access. Here's what constrained access is. I delegate something to you. You're somewhere on the job. Maybe you're up at exit 52 and I'm at exit 41, right? I'm 11 miles away. And you call me, right? And I pick up my cell phone, this fancy cell phone, this $1,000 device I got in my hand, and I see it's from you. And I have a choice. I can answer it, or I can let it go to voicemail. This is an example of constrained access, all right? So, what often happens? So, you call me, I look at it and go, yeah, I'm gonna let that one go. 30 minutes later, an hour later, I call you back and I say, hey, what do you need? How often does that end with, I figured it out? So this concept of constrained access is really good because it also then doesn't allow for reverse delegation. Reverse delegation is when I delegate something to you, you go, I can't get her done, and then it comes back to me, right? Or it's somebody is working on a new task that's within their scope of work, right? It's their freaking job, and because we're great people and we want to help out, we lean in and say, oh, let me help you with that. Reverse delegation. They have delegated to you what was their job. So this whole concept of let it go, there's a lot in there. And then support the person in what they're doing. Now we may have delegated something that'll take an hour, or heck, we may have delegated something that'll take a month. Right, so you got to monitor at appropriate milestones and intervals along the way. Once again, you want to support them. Hey, I gave this to you because I think you can handle it. I gave this to you because I know you're going to learn from it, right? Don't meddle. Let them work on it. If they have a question, set up a time for that, kind of like an office hours kind of a thing, as opposed to just always being there for them to solve their problems. One of the greatest books you can read, and God, I wish I had written it, is called The 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey. It is, I'll call it the textbook on delegation. In the book, the monkey is the next activity. So, I come to you and say, hey, I want you to do X. You got the monkey. Let's flip it around. I'm your supervisor. You're an employee. And this definitely happens with new supervisors. You, as your employee, you come to me. You say, Wally, I got a problem. I got a challenge. And because I'm a great boss and because I'm a great leader and I'm a great supervisor, I say, I got it. Who's got the monkey now? And there's a visual in the book where this new manager is on his way to work on Saturday morning. The car is filled with monkeys. They're all over the thing. He can barely see where he's going because the car is filled with monkeys. And he drives by the first tee on the golf course. And there's 4 of his direct reports, 4 of his employees. How many monkeys are on the tee? The answer, of course, is none, because this manager has taken them all. So it's an easy read. It's like 16 font. You can read it in one sitting if you know what I mean. I have given this book and encouraged this book to so many new supervisors over the course of my 20 years in consulting. And it's one of those ones where they're like, oh my God, Wally, this one kind of changed my life. And I could tell you lots of stories about that, but read it yourself and create your own story. Before we leave this topic, we have talked through delegation as an on-off, yes-no kind of a thing. Change your mentality a little bit and think about this concept of delegated authority. And we can look at it from a level 1 to a level 8. So level 1 delegation would be go get information, I'll decide. Okay? Level 2 could be get information, suggest alternatives, but I'll decide. All the way down to level 8 where it's, dude, you got it. I trust you, you got it. See, when we've spent the last few moments talking about leadership and delegation, every time I say delegation, I think the mentality that goes through your mind is that high level, level 6, 7, 8, you got it kind of a thing. As opposed to, we can manage our risk, we can mitigate the damage that could possibly happen by going through these levels of delegated authority. If you read The 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey, and then look at each task that you're delegating on this ladder of delegated authority, levels 1 through 8, you will have a totally different view of delegation, and I think you'll get better at it and feel more comfortable doing it. So, delegation done well, good thing. Increased production, increased morale, increased productivity. Delegation done poorly pisses people off, makes things go bad. So follow these steps, do it well, life gets better.